Most people aren't lazy. They're weak. That's worse. You live like a goldfish in a bowl of distractions, thinking you're free while your mind rots. What if you became so disciplined people whispered you were insane? This is exactly what Musashi did. And you can too. Here's the part that stings. If you keep living like you are right now, you'll never taste real freedom. You'll stay shackled by your phone, your cravings, your excuses. Your potential will rot quietly while you convince yourself you're trying your best. But if you listen for the next few minutes, if you absorb this fully, you can learn the exact mindset that made Miyamoto Musashi not just the greatest samurai, but a man feared and revered for his discipline. This is your wake-up call. Musashi didn't live like the rest of us. He rejected comfort. He trained with no audience, no applause, no motivation quotes. He went into caves for years, sharpening himself like a blade. People thought he was obsessive, maybe even mad. That's what true discipline looks like from the outside. Madness. You want to look normal? Stay average. You want to be feared? Get disciplined to the point of insanity. So let's cut through illusions. Picture yourself as a receiver. Everything you consume is a signal. Social media, junk food, cheap dopamine, fake productivity, static. And what does static do? It drowns the signal you need. Musashi understood this centuries ago. He called it seeing everything as it is, no illusions. He stripped away every unnecessary input. When he wasn't fighting, he was painting, carving wood, writing. That wasn't hobby. It was training the signal. Now let's bring this home. Imagine waking up tomorrow. Alarm goes off. First instinct? Grab the phone. Scroll. That's not you deciding. That's the static controlling you. Now pause. Instead, you wake, sit in silence, and write down one thing: today's battle. That's it. That's discipline at its seed form. Choosing the battle before the battle chooses you. Musashi called this earth thinking. Brutal honesty. Knowing where you stand, not where you pretend to stand. And most people never do this. They inflate their effort, mask their weakness, play busy. But let's be honest. How many hours today did you actually create? Not shuffle, not distract, not prepare. Create. Be honest. 2? 3? The rest was noise. That's the ground you stand on. And you can't build a fortress on rotten soil. Here's where people break. They see the truth, and then they try to jump 10 levels in one night. Wake up at 4 a.m., cold shower, meditate, deep work, fast, workout, journal, repeat. By noon, they're collapsed, humiliated, done. Discipline isn't fantasy. It's water. Musashi wrote that water adapts. He wasn't talking about weakness. He meant stop smashing your head against the wall. Flow around the obstacle. Can't do 100 push-ups? Can't meditate for an hour? Breathe for 2 minutes. Can't write 10 pages? Write 1 paragraph. Pathetic? No. It's survival. Water cuts stone not by force but by persistence. That's how Musashi fought. In his first 20 duels, he never used the same weapon twice. Not because he loved variety, but because rigidity kills. He was learning adaptability. Flexibility as a weapon. And here's the catch. Most people quit because they can't handle small beginnings. They'd rather fail at a fantasy than succeed at something tiny. But tiny is how water wins. Then comes fire. The stage where you finally feel momentum. You've been flowing, stacking small wins. Suddenly you look around and see others further ahead. Stronger, richer, sharper. And rage hits you. That rage will either destroy you or forge you. Musashi lost his father young. He turned grief into fire. Not by pitying himself, but by channeling fury into training, swing after swing, hour after hour. He burned weakness out of his system. Ask yourself, what do you do with your anger? You probably aim it at yourself. You call yourself pathetic. You quit. Wrong target. Musashi's secret? Aim the anger at mediocrity, not your soul. If you're disgusted you did 20 push-ups, then tomorrow you demand 25. If you hate how much time you wasted online, then tomorrow the phone stays in another room. The emotion doesn't destroy you when it becomes fuel. That's fire discipline. But fire burns too hot if left unchecked, which is why the wind comes next. The enemy here isn't weakness. It's arrogance. You win some battles, you start thinking you've arrived. You ease up. That's how warriors die. Musashi never let himself fall into that trap. At 50 undefeated duels, he still called himself a student. He studied other schools of swordsmanship not to copy, but to stay humble. Do you get that? He was undefeated, yet acted like a beginner. You, after 30 days of progress, act like a master. That arrogance is why you relapse. The wind reminds you discipline isn't a medal. It's maintenance. Every day you polish the blade. Stop polishing, the blade rusts. The second you think you're above the basics, you're already falling. That's the quiet death of progress. And finally, the void. This is the hardest part to swallow. The void is the truth that discipline never ends. There is no finish line. You don't train until it's easy. You train until it's natural. Musashi called the void the place where there is virtue and no evil. What does that mean? It means the war becomes your nature. Struggle stops feeling like struggle. It's just life. Like breathing. And this is where most break. They want discipline to be a bridge to a softer life. Work hard now, coast later. That fantasy kills them. The bridge never ends. There's no coast. There's only the way. The way is eternal practice. The way is eternal battle. You don't ask when it gets easier. You ask what today's battle is. That's the void. So let me ask you, do you want to be normal, comfortable, forgettable? Or do you want people to whisper that you're insane because of how unshakable you've become? Discipline to that level is possible. Musashi lived it. The question is, will you? Here's your move. Subscribe, like, and drop this in the comments. Crazy. Because only the crazy ones ever become legends. Only the crazy survive.